Hello, students. Welcome back to figure drawing, light and shadow. We're going to work on the ribbon since we did the first three shapes in class. So you've got the sphere, the cube, and the cylinder. So now we're going to focus on this ribbon. And we're going to start by drawing the front edge. So really quickly, I'm going to kind of start doing this. I accidentally grabbed a extra hard charcoal pencil, which I did not like. It took me a little while to get started with that. But once I kind of made a little outline of that front edge, trying to think about making different folds and having things go in front and behind each other, I said to myself, okay, let's go get a nicer pencil. So then we run off, go get a charcoal pencil that's medium, and here it is. You could immediately see how much softer it is and how much more it smears. I'm kind of trying to draw each one of those edges, those corners, back in perspective. So unfortunately, I didn't notice that the top edge is off camera, but you see most of what we're doing here. So I'm measuring the width, so it's about the same at each time, each turn. Just doing it by eye. I'm not too concerned whether your ribbon is perfect, but as long as it doesn't look like it's getting shrunken in or expanding without doing that on purpose, I think you're going to be fine. So cleaning up the edge, and just like last time, I'm starting by adding in our shadow. So there's a cast shadow from the upper edge down to the lower edge there. Little touch of the shadow over there. Now I'm going to kind of put a darker edge on anything that's kind of turning, going underneath. I'm going to kind of redraw that shadow edge at the bottom, leaving it a little bit extra dark. Because that's hard to see, I'm going to go and start with the highlights on the white. And in my mind, this is kind of like a ribbon. Maybe it's a white ribbon, so it's pretty bright. So I'm kind of going with the highlights first, and now I'm going to start shading across them. And again, I'm doing that same technique where I'm picking up my pencil each time and doing strokes. I'm not graining the pencil. I'm not just shading it back and forth all the time. Picking it up. You can see my hand moving up and down really quickly in this sped up video. So not only do the top edges get highlights, but some of those interior edges get highlights because it's curving under and catching the light. So here's the one that we're going to see the best, I think. So I'm going across it, then I start to bring it down and across the ribbon towards the bottom right edge. Okay. And then I'm going to go up and towards the top left as well. And I'll turn it again. And every time you notice that I'm turning my hand so that it kind of matches the direction that I'm trying to pull some strokes in. So I'm filling that in, kind of fixing it up, going with the form a little bit there as well. Maybe building that highlight a little brighter. At the very end, I'm going to go through and fix everything, but I just wanted to kind of start to build stuff up. Here, kind of graining in a little bit, using the strokes. And in my imagination, there's a shadow at the top, but when you get to that bottom edge, the edge is almost matching up with the light source. So my highest, brightest highlight is going to be right next to that shadow edge right there, the bottom of this little interior corner. So that's why I'm building that up. Now I'm going to start to build this one up a little bit. Then I thought to myself that that line that I use for construction starting to kind of get in the way. So I'm going to erase it, pull it away. Now I'm going to start to build this up and get just a little bit of highlight on there and turn that corner. And the top corner that faces the light is the brightest. Pull it down towards that corner. And I think this is where I start to kind of maybe finish some of the light. I'm going to go over it. I'm going to choke up on my pencil and go slow. Really start to add a little extra to that brightest highlight. Also get that down in that bottom corner there. Sorry, this is attached to my table and it shakes the camera sometimes. So you'll see the camera shake just a little bit when I do some rigorous shading. There we go, building up that light, pulling it down and across the edge. Here we go, a little bit more, right down towards the bottom where it kind of fades out using the tone of the paper. That's one of our goals for this assignment. Here is the highlight inside there. Build that little highlight up just a little bit extra, a little extra bright right in there. There we go. So it's trying to look shiny, like it's catching the most light out of all the areas that have light inside that little pocket of the ribbon. And finally, I just have the top edge, trying to kind of smooth that out. Unfortunately, it's off camera, or at least a good portion of the top part is. But you can kind of see the shading, see the technique again. It's the same thing that I've been doing with the rest of the drawing, kind of going through and pulling those strokes around that curve. I'm following the curve with my strokes, and that's going to help to tell the form. So now I'm going to start to build up the shadows, especially the darker edges. Most of my darker edges I'm going to let be at the bottom edge, just so that it kind of tells you the light's on the top, the shadows on the bottom. So I build up a little bit of this shadow down here. Try not to go too strong. These interior corners like this one, those are going to maybe be the darkest because they are in the shadow and they're blocking, they're not reflecting light towards us. Here's probably the darkest part of the drawing. There's an interior corner there, and then there's another interior corner underneath that fold in the ribbon. So we'll build that up a little bit. And then those very interior corners away from the light, that's where it's going to be the darkest. So that's what I'm shading right there on the inside there, and then the same thing on the other side there. Just going to do a little bit down here, and I think we're almost done with this. You can be a little bit more crazy with your values, kind of like the Will Weston one, but this is what I ended up with. So hope you have good luck drawing your ribbon, and I'll see you again for the next part with the figure.